Namaste and welcome to the another episode of Geopolitics with Alok Bansal, and I'm joined by Alok Bansal ji yet again. Today we will be discussing about our favorite neighbor, Pakistan. The mess that has been created in Pakistan for the last 2 weeks is being talked around across the globe. And today we will be discussing what exactly has happened in Pakistan, what led to whatever has happened, and will this midnight miracle that happened in the midnight yesterday work for Pakistan? So, Alok ji, first of all, I want to know. So, yesterday midnight, there was an announcement that finally PMLN and PPP will form the government. Shahbaz Sharif will be the PM, Asif Ali Zardari will be the president of the country. So, do you think this coalition will work?
Not really. It will work for some time because both of them are threatened with a common enemy. Firstly, I think there will be a lot of, as of now, this government's longevity depends on the election results. Though election results have been declared by Chief Election Commissioner, but they are going to be contested. Many of the seats people have gone to the court because obviously there have been rigging to an extent which is difficult to hide. Though of course it is now left to the judiciary how long will they take to decide these cases. While Supreme Court at the moment is favorably disposed towards PMLN and PPP, there are high courts which are taking independent decisions and have given large number of decisions which have been against the Chief Election Commissioner, wherein they have declared PTI supported independents as elected. And during the year, Chief Justice of Pakistan is to retire towards the end of the year, and then again the Supreme Court might take a different stance, and that could be problematic. So firstly, I think this majority which they have cobbled up may not last. Secondly, what PPP has done is that they have taken president's post, and I think they are also seeking speaker's post, and if they get these two posts, the rest of the posts will not matter. They will try and take those cabinet posts in the ministry where blame is unlikely to be attributed to them. Because please understand, Pakistan will have to undergo IMF program, and that will cause severe stress to the population. Population is already under severe stress because of very high inflation. Even now it is about 20%, it was at one stage well above 30%. So now already under IMF pressure, the gas prices have been raised, electricity prices are being raised, and in days to come, you will see greater stress because the total debt of Pakistan has phenomenally increased. Just yesterday or day before the figures had come, the domestic debt has increased 6-fold from 2011, and the foreign debt has increased to twice what it was in 2011. With such a huge debt, servicing it is going to be a very, very major problem. So Pakistan will always be under economic stress, and this government will have a problem. So the moment PPP feels that it is no longer worthy of supporting the government, they'll pull the rug from under them. And if they have the speaker and the president, they will be holding the main tricks in their hand, because Prime Minister will go as the parliamentary support goes, but the President and Speaker will continue because of the support that they are drawing.
Is that the reason Nawaz Sharif has decided not to become the PM?
Yes, to a very great extent, Nawaz Sharif has not become the PM because he realized that this government will be lame duck government. It will be a coalition government with lot of partners, people like MQM. See, because the establishment this time has fabricated results, and despite their fabrication, despite their attempts to rig the elections, PTI supported independents have actually won the largest number of seats. But according to a fair estimate, there are at least 80 odd seats where PTI supported independents would have won if there would have been a fair counting, because the manner in which the counting of votes has taken place in Pakistan leaves a lot to be desired. There was a counting going on, there was a initial trends which came on the TV channels, and then there was a blanking off, and then a new results came wherein I think those results were tweaked and certain number of seats were given to PMLN and PPP. So we need to be very, very careful. I personally am quite convinced that Pakistan is headed for a big round of instability. Also, the PTI and other political parties which are opposing the election results and are claiming that this was a twisted elections will keep protesting.
Alokji, you have talked about a lot of aspects in this elections. I'll go to them one by one. First of all, I want to know that how come Imran Khan has become such a big figure in Pakistan in these elections? Because there are three cases against him. His marriage has been nullified. There is a corruption case, and then there is a case related to national security. How come this person has become such a huge figure? Why Pakistanis have voted for the independent candidates backed by PTI?
See, we need to understand, when 2018, when Imran Khan became a prime minister, he became a prime minister because he was backed by the establishment, that is the military and the intelligence agencies. But you have to grant it to Imran Khan that for the first time in Pakistan's history, he introduced social security schemes for the downtrodden. His Sehat card, some of his schemes were extremely beneficial to extremely marginalized sections of the society. Consequently, the downtrodden, the people who are at the fringes of the society, are extremely supportive of Imran Khan. They felt that no other party had given them that sort of a support. And one of the reasons why most opinion polls failed is because they generally don't go to such sections of the society which are marginalized. Secondly, the manner in which he was removed, he managed to sell a narrative that there has been foreign interference, there has been external powers, there has been establishment which has actually dethroned him. And the way the government has gone about persecuting him, whereby his party has been denied the electoral symbols, he's not been allowed fair level playing fields. I think this is all very visible. Of the three cases that he has been indicted on, marriage one, I think even the ruling party members are saying, PPP chief has said that this is something which I can't accept. Tosha Khana case where his wife has been imprisoned, nobody with rudimentary knowledge of law can say that she could have been at fault. What is her fault? Why has she been punished? So I think a vast majority of Pakistanis realize that these are all fabricated cases and these are unfair. So there is a huge sympathy there. And above all, we need to understand that while Imran Khan may not know governance and his governance may have been extremely flawed and may have been responsible to a great extent for the economic mess in which Pakistan finds today, Imran Khan is not personally corrupt. At least that is how the perception agrees. The vast majority of the people feel that Imran Khan is not personally corrupt, whereas Zardari and Sharif are believed to be personally corrupt. Imran is the one who actually created a hospital from public donations and things like that. So he is seen as somebody who is not personally corrupt, and during all these demonstrations, etc., his stature has only increased. If his government was not voted out of power by no confidence vote, he would have probably lost the elections. But the manner in he was expelled and subsequently the actions taken by the establishment against him, especially after 9th May, where people from PTI were hounded, people were arrested at late nights, ladies were troubled, women members of PTI were hounded. All those have created a situation where there's a huge groundswell of sympathy. And I have no doubts that if a level playing field would have been provided and there was no rigging, Imran Khan would have won 2/3 majority in the National Assembly and would have clearly won a majority in Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and would have won most of the seats in Karachi.
Okay. You have talked, hypothetically, if we say that elections do happen again, can Imran Khan win again?
Yes, if you have a free and fair election. See, now elections can happen many times, but if you are going to have similar conditions, if you are going to rig the elections, then how can you win? But yes, if there is a free and fair elections today, I have no doubts that Imran Khan will win hands down.
Okay, I have one more question about you have talked about establishment, that is the Pakistani army. Pervez Musharraf ruled for good 10 years and he's one of those famous faces of Pakistan that people really adore, if adore is the word should be used. What I have read is that Pakistan army the rule of Pakistan army is highly liked in Pakistan. Is it true? If it is true, then why is it so?
See, let's be very clear. We need to go back into history. And whenever I say, see, please understand, Pakistan's populace, Pakistan's society's love relationship with army started in 1953. When for the first time anti-Ahmadiyya riots took place and the city of Lahore was placed under martial law. And a chief martial law administrator in the form of Lieutenant General Khan was appointed there. He ruled so well that people said that he is doing a wonderful job, whereas the politicians were goofing it up. In 1958, the then president Iskandar Mirza actually invited Ayub Khan to impose martial law, and he took over as chief martial law administrator. And Ayub Khan's reign was by and large a very good reign where he actually brought a lot of stability, economic prosperity. But of course, like all autocratic regimes, in the long term started faltering. And we saw when Ayub Khan protests against him increased, he handed over power to another, his commander-in-chief, General Yahya Khan. And after him was Bangladesh, liberation of Bangladesh. The partition of Pakistan, the defeat of Pakistan army actually led to army's morale and support sinking low. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto came to power. But again, Zia-ul Haq captured power. And Zia's time also did irreparable damage to Pakistan. Well, Pakistan would have gone the radicalization path in any case. Zia-ul Haq accelerated the process of radicalization in Pakistan. And the fruits of what he sowed are still being sown by people. People are still reaping the results of what he did. So, Zia-ul Haq today, I don't think so he's popular. Musharraf, when he captured power, there was of course a problem, and Musharraf is no longer a popular person. The Western world considers him fairly good because he tried to bring in certain amount of moderation, tried to check the process of radicalization that was going on. But I can give you in writing that today Musharraf is not a popular figure. He formed a political party which failed to win any seat except from Chitral. So Musharraf is certainly not popular. But what happens is whenever war drums are beaten, the Pakistan army becomes a savior. And Pakistan army has managed to convince the world that there is an ideological existential threat to Pakistan. And they have become the defenders of not only the territorial borders of Pakistan, but also the ideological borders. So, when there is a threat, people feel that army will provide succor. But today I can tell you, the people, the young lot, that is the urban youth and absolutely marginalized sections of the society are fed up with the army. Please understand, Imran Khan's biggest supporters are absolute downtrodden people who are actually on the verge of starvation and the urban young youth. And these two people, these two sections of the society are not enamored of army and its role in the politics.
What are these threats to Pakistan?
See, Pakistan to my mind is actually a flawed concept. Pakistan is an ideological state created on the premise of two-nation theory, where you said that the Muslims of the subcontinent are a separate nation. The moment you create a nation state premised on religion, the next logical question that comes to mind is who's a Muslim? And Pakistan has not been able to define who's a Muslim from 1953. After anti-Ahmadiyya riots, Justice Munir and Justice Kayani constituted a judicial commission to decide whether Ahmadiyyas were Muslims or non-Muslims. And if you go through that commission's report, it says very clearly, we interviewed 23 sets of ulema. And we asked them, who is a Muslim? And the commission says if we accept the definition as given by one set of ulema, we'll have to declare all other 22, including ourselves, as non-Muslims. And since there is no unanimity onto who is a Muslim, this commission is not in a position to decide whether Ahmadiyyas are Muslims or non-Muslims. And status quo ante continued. But post 71, when the minorities reduced insignificantly in Pakistan, the sectarian violence again increased. Ahmadiyyas were declared non-Muslims, liquor was banned, holiday was shifted from Sunday to Friday. So all these steps actually started the process of radicalization, which was further accentuated by Zia-ul Haq. Once you declared Ahmadiyyas as non-Muslims, there was a demand that Ismailis should be declared non-Muslims, Shias should be declared as non-Muslims. Within the fold of Sunni Islam, now Deobandis are targeting the Barelvis. So there is a conflict and it goes on. And this is one of the biggest problems when you face yourself on religion. You premise your existence on religion. The second has been the ethnic fault lines. See, Pakistan's founders always believed that you are no longer Punjabi, you are no longer Baloch, you are no longer Pakhtun, you are no longer Sindhi, you are Muslims and you are Pakistanis. They thought religion will be able to subsume the ethnic identities of the people. It has failed. Obviously, today there is a Baloch nationalism, there is a Sindhi nationalism, there is a Pakhtun nationalism. So there is a nationalism. There is even a Muhajir nationalism of the migrants who have gone from here. So that is there. The radicalization is eroding. Economic activity cannot take place because now Sharia court rules that there should be interest-free banking. There are problems galore. The education cannot take place because scientific education is contested by people because some of its injunctions, the scientific findings go against the principles of Islam. Will you accept Darwin's theory? Islam cannot accept. So there is a problem. So you are not having a liberal scientific outlook which you should have. And that is actually creating a problem. There is an economic mass, there is a sectarian conflict, there is growing radicalization, ethnic fault lines are getting exacerbated. So you have problems galore. So that's how Pakistan is crumbling. And with this sort of a situation, army has tried to project to the people that there is an existential threat because India has not reconciled to the idea of Pakistan. So there is a territorial threat and they have become the defenders. And under that garb, they have assumed to themselves the sole prerogative of defending Pakistan.
So there are internal threats, but there are external threats as well. Iran is a threat?
See, external threats are perceived threats. Pakistan does have a problem with all its three de jure neighbors, that is Iran, Afghanistan and India. When in 48 Pakistan applied for United Nations membership, the only country that opposed its membership in the United Nations was Afghanistan, led by King Zahir Shah. And it has had a very, very troubled relations with Afghanistan. Right now, Taliban are in power, who were sponsored by Pakistan, and Pakistan feels that they are his proxies. But even with Taliban, they are having a problem. They are having a problem with Iran. They of course have a problem with India, with which we have an existential ideological threat. Now this threat from India has been exacerbated by the Pakistan army to garner a bulk of the resources that accrue in Pakistan. And as a result, army gets a disproportionately larger share of the budget because they project to the people in Pakistan that there is an existential threat to Pakistan from India. And so they are needed to guard Pakistan against being engulfed by India. So that's how they have been functioning.
Pakistan was made in 1947 and then they came up with their constitution. And we came up with the constitution of a few years prior to Pakistan. But Pakistan has not, it has not reached, forget about reaching to the level of India, they are nowhere near. What is the major reason behind this? Is there a crisis? Is there an identity crisis in the Pakistan? What are the major reasons behind this?
See, you need to understand. We got independence in 1947. We had a constitution which was enforced on 26 January 1950. Very fast. Less than 3 years, we came up with a constitution, got it approved and implemented it. Now, in Pakistan's case, there was a problem. Firstly, what was Pakistan? Nobody could decide. After Jinnah died, an objective resolution was passed which said the sovereignty rests with Allah. Nothing wrong with it. But the moment you say so, you give ulema a right to interfere in the governance because they can say that anything that's passed by parliament or constituent assembly is against the injunctions of Allah. The second practical problem was that the founders of Pakistan were those who came from India. See, you need to understand that the support for Pakistan movement was strongest in those provinces where Muslims were in minority, which have remained in India. So the leadership of Muslim League actually hailed from India. Jinnah, Liaquat Ali, they were all left behind. Now once they migrated to Pakistan, they had no constituency from where they could get elected. So they didn't want elections. So if constitution was to be implemented, there would have been elections. They had no constituency to get elected. And as a result, if you'll see, from 47 till 1970, there was no direct elections in West Pakistan, which is now Pakistan. So that is the reason. So they didn't want anything. They didn't want any. As a result, number of constitutions were drafted, but before they could be implemented, the governments were dismissed, the constituent assemblies were demolished, the constitutions were abrogated. And as a result, the first major constitution that has lasted for some time now is the 1973 constitution, which came about after Pakistan's crushing defeat in 1971 and liberation of Bangladesh.
So, with Shahbaz Sharif becoming the PM and Asif Ali Zardari becoming the president, do you think that the relationship with India are going to change?
See, let there be one thing be clear, that every democratic leader in Pakistan realizes that Pakistan's salvation lies only in good relations with India. If Pakistan's economy has to survive in today's day and age, it can only be with having good trade relations with India, good relations with India. Unfortunately, when it comes to India, no political leadership in Pakistan has been able to take independent decisions. Army headquarters, or GHQ as it is called, which is based in Rawalpindi, always has a veto as far as relations with India is concerned. So while Sharifs and Zardari both realize that it is in their interest to have good relations with India, I am skeptical that this sort of a weak government will be in a position to improve relations with India, considering Army's vested interest in keeping the pot boiling.
Okay. So, what next will happen in Pakistan? What you see happening in Pakistan next?
See, I see turbulence. Firstly, let Shahbaz Sharif take power, and then you'll see a bout of instability, because PTI is not going to stop. They are going to keep protesting. Army is losing its credibility because population understands that they interfered in the elections. So unless, of course, something drastic happens, you will see that army will come under immense pressure. The government that gets formed will be under immense economic stress. There will also be a political stress, because there will be so many political parties supporting it. Many of them have inimical interests, like PPP and MQM will have a problem, because MQM wants greater autonomy as far as tertiary level of government is concerned. They want Karachi to have autonomy, greater autonomy, because they control Karachi. Whereas PPP, which controls Sindh, would not want that. So you will see conflicts and contestation. And what is important is that after this elections, it is not only the PTI which is going to be protesting, which has the largest support, but two smaller parties, JI and JUIF, which are religious political parties, do not have much support but have a good cadre strength, will also be opposing the elections. So you are going to see protests now for some time.
Okay, so this was about the political condition of Pakistan. Moving to the economy or the financial condition of Pakistan, if this government stays and they complete their term, are there any chances that the financial condition of Pakistan, that IMF bailout will work?
See, let me be very frank. I am willing to bet that this government cannot last 5 years. No government in Pakistan has lasted 5 years. This government is out of question. This cannot last 5 years. But leave that aside. This government cannot implement IMF plan in toto, because IMF plan requires raising lot of resources, and any democratic government will have a problem. And you will see there will be problems between PPP, PML, because everybody would want a pound of flesh. In fact, if this government survives 1 year, I'll be really very, very happy. I don't think so that's possible, that this government will probably last more than a year. And of course, the protests will continue, and with people with PTI, the government will be under immense pressure. No foreign direct investment is likely to come. Even CPEC projects, etc., BRI, etc., is likely to be delayed. So to my mind, I don't think so Pakistan's economy is coming out of a morass with this present government. at this stage.
Alok ji, I want to understand. Politically, they are weak. They are, most probably the government won't last. They don't have any financial aid. Then there are internal conflicts, whether it's Balochistan. In fact, what I have seen and what I have read is that only the the Punjab province of Pakistan holds it. That's the only province that holds all the power, and probably that's why Nawaz Sharif wanted his daughter to become the CM of Punjab. So, given so many challenges, is Pakistan really going to stay as a country in the coming future? Do you see a dismantling of Pakistan in the coming 10 years?
See, let's be very clear. Pakistan has faced most of these problems which it is facing right from 1947. Pakistan has serious fault lines, and I define at least 4 major fault lines, which are sectarianism, ethno-nationalism, economic crisis, radicalization, and then of course absence of credible institutions. But despite all these fault lines, Pakistan has managed to nudge along. And for that, there have been reasons which have kept Pakistan together. And there have been majorly 3 integrating factors. One is, of course, Islam. When Pakistan was created, they thought the religion would be a binding force. And it was for a very some time. But today, religion is no longer a binding force. Firstly, Islam is not a monolith. So, whose version of Islam? That's a question. Second, what should be the role of religion in Burmese society, etc., is again a question mark. People have different opinions on that. The second integrating factor is army. That's the only institution that functions in Pakistan, and as Stephen Cohen had said, all nations, all states have armies, but in Pakistan's case, it is an army which has got a state. So, army keeps it artificially together, and till the time erosion in army takes place, Pakistan will continue to remain together. And this we need to understand, that what has happened in recent developments with Imran Khan and all those issues, that there have been fissures within army. You've seen corps commanders being sacked, not resisting an attack onto their residence, etc. And there have been drastic actions have been taken. So those are the things which shows that not everything is all right within the army, and that we need to understand. And the final integrating factor is animus towards India. So when people in India say we'll crush them, we'll do this, we'll do that, it helps actually Pakistan. So any beating of the war drums in India strengthens Pakistan, because that allows people to rally around the flag. The moment you start beating war drums, then army becomes the savior. And it is essential from India's point of view that army needs to be brought down. If the army erodes, Pakistan will crumble, and that could create a situation which could be called Lebanonization of Pakistan. And I define Lebanonization as a state when central authority erodes to such a level that internal actors become autonomous, not only as far as their interaction with one another is concerned, but also with external powers, like was the case in 70s and 80s in Lebanon, where Hezbollah would one day fight with Amal militia, other day fight with Maronite Christians, the third day fight with Syrian army, fourth day fight with Israelis, one day they'll fight with Druze. So anybody and everybody was fighting. Now that sort of a scenario is dangerous, because if Taliban were to become Pakistan's Hezbollah, we have a problem in hand, because they might come across the border and fire. And when a non-state actor fires at you, how do you react? If the state reacts, then it's an act of war. So one has to look at it. So Lebanonization of Pakistan is not in our interest. So if actually Pakistan has to crumble, then there should be a balkanization, which is a neat division into 2 or 3 or 4 entities. But balkanization in Pakistan's case is only feasible when army is taken out, and that can only happen with an external trigger. You need an external trigger. It could be the US, it could be any other country, where there has to be something which actually erodes the command and cohesion of Pakistan army. Then only Pakistan would probably crumble.
Alok ji, I would like to move to Pakistan's neighbors now. What is the current relationship between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
See, Pakistan sponsored Taliban, and Taliban is in power. But as I said, no government in Afghanistan has ever recognized Durand Line, and that problem will continue. The second thing what people often don't understand is that the Taliban is an ideological entity. It has a particular theological stance, and for Taliban it is impossible to hand over anyone who is ideologically aligned with them to a third country, and consequently Taliban has to this date not handed over a single activist of ETIM to China or TTP to Pakistan. And now with Taliban in Afghanistan, the jihad that Al-Qaeda hopes to launch under Taliban leadership has got greater theological legitimacy. And as a result, TTP has become hyperactive because now they have a safe haven in Afghanistan, they have an ideological support, and they are carrying out attack, and this is actually enhancing the tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
My last question to you, Alok ji. Is a politically strong Pakistan good for India or bad for India?
See, I am of the firm belief that a politically strong Pakistan is not in India's interest. I have always believed that a weak Pakistan is in India's interest, because if Pakistan is strong, firstly Pakistan is a byproduct of an ideology which is two-nation theory, and if the byproduct of an ideology is strong, then the ideology gets proved, and two-nation theory is extremely divisive ideology, and as a result Pakistan, which is a byproduct of two-nation theory, if it's strong and prosperous, it poses an existential ideological threat to a secular India and vice versa. So to my mind, a strong Pakistan is not an interest, because India's eventual salvation lies in a greater South Asian union. You can call it Akhand Bharat, you can call anything, it may be a loose union, but a union is required, and that union is only feasible when a Pakistan, which is a byproduct of two-nation theory, ceases to exist.
Thank you so much, Alok ji, for speaking to us.